Hey, what is up mortals? CarelessRex here, and before we get into today's video, I'd like to say something. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go to the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if you didn't know, only 25% of you guys are subscribed to us, so please hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has been one of the greatest anime that fans have ever seen. It began publishing in Weekly Shonen Jump in 1987 by Hirohiko Araki. The manga series has had a few OVAs, video game titles, and they all became cult classics. Over time, however, the series evolved from an obscure to a mainstream title, thanks to the 2012 adaptation of Parts 1 and 2, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Phantom Blood and Battle Tendency. In the world of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the protagonist is part of a family tree known as the Joestar family. In Part 1, the series started with Jonathan Joestar. Part 2 was with Joseph Joestar, the grandson of Jonathan. And finally, Part 3, Stardust Crusaders, with Joestar-Kujo, Joseph's grandson. There are many parts in the anime series, but we will be focusing on Part 3 for this video. People have done numerous theories about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, such as if stands are hormone spirits, how Speedwagon made the Speedwagon Foundation, and how Dio Brando's head took over Jonathan's body. But one particular character worth looking at is Holly Joestar, the daughter of Joseph Joestar. In Part 3, there isn't much information about Holly, only that she was married to a Japanese jazz musician named Joestar-Kujo. Holly only appeared in a few episodes during the beginning of Part 3. In Stardust Crusaders, Joestar-Kujo is in prison due to getting into a fight with thugs. He gets bailed, but Jotaro refuses to leave his prison cell since he has an evil spirit inside him. Holly decides to contact her father, Joseph Joestar, to go to Japan and see if he can help Jotaro. Joseph explains to Holly and Jotaro that the evil spirit he has is known as a stand. The reason it has appeared is that Dio, the vampire that Jonathan defeated, resurrected. Due to this, stands have awakened inside every Joestar family. Jotaro and Joseph can manipulate their stand. However, Holly could not handle her stand's pressure, so she collapses and remains asleep. She could not wake up unless Jotaro defeats Dio. If Jotaro fails to stop Dio, the stand will take over Holly's body and kill her. And for that reason, Jotaro and Joseph must go to Egypt and defeat Dio. In this video, we will be theorizing on how Holly's life could have been like growing up, and how Holly meets Joestar-Kujo. So with that said, let's get right into the theory. Right after the events of Part 2, Joseph and Susie Q got married and bought a house in New York. They had a daughter and named her Holly Joestar. During Holly's childhood, she was raised correctly, had a good education, and had a good relationship with her parents, especially Joseph. During the night, Joseph would read her bedtime stories about his adventures with his partner Caesar Zeppeli and how they defeated the Pillar Men. Holly believed his tales, but as she got older, she thought her father's stories were false and didn't believe him. Joseph denied that the adventures he had during his youth were lies, and even when Holly would keep pestering his father, Joseph remained silent. During the late 60s, Holly was a young waitress working at a diner in New York City. She was trying to earn her living so that one day she can gain her independence. One rainy night, as she was hard at work, the bell rang from the diner's entrance. Through the door, a group of men entered with strange bags. Holly took a closer look at them and noticed that they were all foreigners since they were all Asian. Holly took them to a table to take their order. After Holly's shift, she began to talk with all of them, asking them where they come from and why they were in New York. They told her that they were a Japanese jazz group touring worldwide and that they were here for a few months playing in New York. Out of all the Japanese men that were there, one of them stood out for Holly and they began to have a conversation. This person was Joestar-Kujo. They talked for hours about their passion, dreams, music preferences, and the philosophy on how the world works. Holly has never had this type of feeling before with another person. She felt like she and Sadao had a deep connection that other people would never understand. Sadao felt the same way with Holly. Eventually, Sadao's friends were tired, went to the hotel they stayed during their trip, and and left Sadao and Holly talking. They continued their conversation until it was finally dawn. From that point onward, Sadao decided to visit Holly every night after a show and talk with her. As weeks went by, Sadao finally decided to invite Holly to see one of his shows. Holly, delighted, chose to go with him to see his group's performance. As Holly saw Sadao play, that's when she instantly fell in love with him, and Sadao felt the same way about her. They had so much in common, and it was the reason why they connected so quickly. Afterward, they started dating during days where Sadao was free from performing. Holly showed him the whole city of New York. They saw plays on Broadway, they went to Central Park, saw the Liberty Statue, and many more fun dates. Months passed by, and Holly realized that she wanted to spend her life with Sadao, so she asked him if she could go around the world with him and his jazz group. Sadao agreed and was delighted that Holly was coming with him, but there was one problem. Holly had to give up her life in New York, along with her family, so she needed the approval of her parents. That's why she decided to invite Sadao to her house to meet them. Before we get back into the dive, I would like to say that we are only one of the many We the Celestials channels, in case you guys didn't know. If you have the sugar tooth for great storytelling, please give our What If channels a visit. No matter if it's My Hero Academia What Ifs or Naruto What Ifs, we've got you covered. Did we get your attention? Great! Click the icon in the top right corner or check the description below for the links to the other channels. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back into the dive. Sadao entered the Joestar's residence as Holly, Joseph, and Susie Q greeted him. As they were eating at the dinner table, Sadao explained his goals to their parents. Susie was delighted to have a musician interested in her daughter, but Joseph was a little concerned. Sadao sensed the tense pressure from Holly's father. He tried to explain how much he loved his daughter, and Holly told her father that she wanted to go around the world with him. Suddenly, Joseph stood up from the table and yelled at Sadao that he would never let his daughter go with a man that avoids his responsibilities by going around the world playing music. Joseph yells at his daughter for being irresponsible as well by going with him. Susie tried to calm him down, and Sadao decided to leave for good, out of respect for the family. Holly tried to go with Sadao, but Joseph stopped her and told her not to go with him because he was a bad influence and he won't sustain her if he kept pursuing his goals of being a good musician. Holly snapped back at her father, saying that he doesn't control her life. She can go with anyone, and truly believed that she found her true love. She left the house along with Sadao, and with all her money saved, she got a ticket and went with him around the world, leaving her family behind. 2 years after touring around the globe, Sadao and Holly decided to get married in Japan. Sadao bought a lovely house in Tokyo. They settled in, and they had a son named Joestar-Kujo. Unfortunately, Holly was mostly by herself with Jotaro, because Sadao and his jazz group were still touring around the world since they became world-famous musicians, so Holly had to remain in Japan taking care of Jotaro. Due to Sadao traveling worldwide, he could not see Jotaro and Holly that often, so Jotaro and his father became distant. Despite this, Holly loved both Sadao and Jotaro, and she believed that someday they would reconnect, and they'll be a full family. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has so many possibilities for polishing each character. Despite the insanity and the strange, this series can go more down to earth. They can explore the easy life of each character. Maybe someday, we can have a definitive story from the experience of Holly Joestar and her carefree and wholesome life with Sadao and Joestar-Kujo. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time. So, if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, I'd like to thank our $5 and up Patreon supporters who fund these videos. Lastly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video and the audio and video editors for this video. Their details are in the description below. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals. Have a fantastic day.